Good morning, everyone. In the last class, we have discussed about database recovery techniques, how to recover the data. And in today's class, we are going to see what are data errors and how to recover the data and how to take a backup of the data. So, what are there? Here, database backups. Here we have this database errors already we discussed. What are the three levels of database backup? So, what is the basic meaning of a backup? Backup in the sense we are taking another copy of the data, whatever we have actual data. So, we'll perform all the operations, all the transactions based on the actual data. Because at any point of time, if your data, if you have lost your data, we can get the data with the help of this data backup. So, every time you have to take a backup of your contents. For example, I'll tell you a simple example. So, we will go to a number of parties, functions and all. So, obviously, we'll take a number of pictures and they will be stored in your mobile. Okay. So, for a safe side, what you do, will keep all these pictures into your desktop or in your laptop or somewhere else. Why you have to save at multiple places of the same pictures? Why? Because that is a safer side. Okay. If you have, if at any point of time if you lost your mobile, then the pictures will be available in the system, or if you have anything happened with your system, the pictures will be available in your mobile phone. So like that you have to maintain a backup for everything, whatever the data we have. So the data can be any text value, or it can be any image, or it can be any audio file, or it can be any video file, or whatever it might be. Everything is considered as a data. So we need to take a backup for a future purpose to overcome the loss which is going to happen. Okay. So there are three different levels of database backup. So first one is full backup. In this level, all the contents of the database are copied to a permanent storage device. For example, disks or magnetic tapes, etc. Complete information will be backed up. Second one is differential backup. In this level, only those contents of the database that have been modified as compared to previous backup copy or copied to a permanent secondary storage. Differential backup in the sense, for example, already I take a backup yesterday. So now if I have to take a backup, I'll update the contents which are happened only yesterday to today. Okay, only that part I'll take a backup. Okay, why? Because all the things which I have already taken a backup till yesterday. So yesterday to today, what is this 1 day's transactions, I have to take a backup, that is considered as differential backup. I will take only the backup of the content which aren't backed up. ఏవైతే బ్యాకప్ అవ్వలేదో అక్కడి నుంచి మాత్రమే నేను డేటా బ్యాకప్ తీసుకుంటాను. సో దట్ ఈస్ డిఫరెన్షియల్ బ్యాకప్. ఫుల్ బ్యాకప్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ irrespective of the updates and all, I will take the backup for the entire database. Transaction log backup. So in the last class we discussed what is a log file. So whatever the transaction we will do, everything will be recorded in a log file. So from that log file your data will get updated, whatever the values will have in a log. So in this level, only those transaction log operations that have been modified as compared to the previous backup copy are copied to a permanent secondary storage. So here in this, only those modified content will be backed up. So it will compare with your previous backup. If the values are got updated, it will take a backup, or else it won't. So this is the contents. These are the three levels of backups what we have. One is full backup, differential backup, and transaction log backup. So these are about in database recovery process. Database backups play a major role. The database recovery process choose to utilize. Voice is. Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, sir.
Anyone are having problem with my voice? Hello. Rakshinda?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rakshinda? I can't hear you. Right. So that is the major concept of database backup, why we require the backups. So whenever we have to recover the data, this data backups will play a key role. So we can get back to the actual position or actual state with the help of this database backups. So discuss the 4 important concept effects of the recovery process. So the 4 important concepts that affect the recovery process are listed below: write ahead log protocol, redundant transaction logs, database buffers, and database checkpoints. So this protocol creates a transaction log backup of the database before executing update operations on any data. So what it will do is, it will take a backup of the data before updation operations. This this ensures that whenever a failure occurs, the transaction log can be used to recover the database to consistent state. So here what it will do is, it will take a backup of your database before updating operations. Now once your data backup has completed, you can take a operations. For example, if any transaction has failed, so that what will happen, with the help of this backup, will come back to the actual state which is before transaction. So for that purpose, we have this write ahead log protocol. This protocol creates a transaction log backup of the database before executing update operation on any data. This ensures that whenever a failure occurs, the transaction log can be used to recover the database to a consistent state, whatever the state we have before the transaction. Next, redundant transaction logs. So this concept deals with storing multiple copies of the transaction log in order to recover the data even if a physical disk failure occurs. So we have to maintain the transaction log backups at multiple places, so that if one place has destroyed, so we'll have one more place to get the data back. So you have to keep redundant copies of the data at multiple places. It is for future purpose. Third one is database buffer. A buffer is a part of primary memory that is used in the temporary data storage purpose. Buffer allow the disk transactions to be performed with an increased speed. When the RDBMS software reads the data from the primary storage, a copy of that data is also get stored in a buffer. So whenever we perform any transactions, initially the data will be stored in a buffer. Whenever we say commit transaction, whenever we use commit command, then only the data will come back to the database and it will be stored permanently. Until and unless if you didn't say commit your database or your data, it won't get stored in the database. So that is the concept of database buffers. So database buffer is nothing but it is a place where the temporary transactions or temporary results will be stored after updating operations. Okay, until and unless we confirm the updates by the help of this commit command, the data won't be stored permanently in the database. That is database buffer. Next, database checkpoints. So a database operation that writes all the updated data from the buffer to physical disk is called database checkpoint. So database checkpoint is nothing but what we say, bookmarks. Okay, so it is a point till where you have executed or till where you have updated. Will keep a point, and from there you will start at next day. So the points or the places what we keep as a idea. The thing is, a database operation that writes all the updated data from data buffers to the physical disk, which is called as a checkpoint. So in this operation, the other requests are not executed, only those other requests which are not executed, and the physical database and the transaction log must be synchronized. So whatever the data we have in the physical database and the transaction log, whatever the data we have in transaction log, they must be synced. In the sense, if you make any changes in the transaction log, the data will get updated in the database buffer. Next, this is to avoid inefficiency problems because updations are informed only on the buffers but not on the physical database. So whatever the updates, just now I said, whatever the updates which are there, which are stored only in the buffers but not in the physical database, once you say commit, then only the data will be stored in the physical database. Until and unless we confirm, the data won't be stored. So these are the 4 points when we have to recover the recovery process. Next topic what we have here is security and integrity. How to provide the security to the database. Database security and integrity, this is one question, and database security and authorizations, this is another question. Okay, just a second. Yes, so now data security and integrity. Data security and integrity plays very important role for supporting successful operations to be performed. So they are taken into consideration while selecting DBMS. So whenever we have decided to create a database, immediately we have to think about the security of the data, how we can provide security to the data. So what are the ways, different ways we can provide the security. So to support the following capabilities: access control. Access control is a way of prohibiting unauthorized users from data accessing. So with the help of this access control, we can give a security to the data. Next, concurrency control. So concurrency control is a way to maintain data integrity in multi-user environment. When multiple users are accessing the same resource or the same database, how we can control the multi-user access with the help of locks. So it controls concurrent access to an database by allowing only one transaction to access at a particular data time. If this facility is not provided, then the accuracy and consistency of the database will be destroyed. So when multiple people are accessing the same database, we should allow only one person to perform a transaction on one item. Multiple people can't access a single item. So for that we have to provide locks and all, which we have discussed previous classes. Next, view control. View control provides an automated way to confine the user to access from a given relation for which they are authorized. It is one of the essential features usually supported by relational database management system. So for example, whenever I'll try to create an application for our college. So in our college, the main person will be the chairman, and then we'll have principal, then we have faculties, then we have student. So for all these 4 people, I have created separate logins. So some information can be visible only to the students, some information is visible only for the faculties, the complete information about the faculties is visible to the principal, and the complete organization data is visible to the chairman. So I can control the visibility of the database whatever I have. Okay. So if you want to access the details of a principal, you can't access it. Why? Because you don't have that authorization. So for your limit as a student, you can see your academics, you can see your fees details, you can see your address details or contact details or the subjects whatever you have, you can see only that part. Okay. If you go to the principal, or if you go to the student, a faculty have access to see the transactions of all the students, details of all the students. Okay. Let's go to the principal. He can see all the details of the faculties along with the students. Chairman, along with principal, faculties and the students, every information is visible to the chairman. So if you have a hierarchy, if I give some permissions, view permissions, that is considered as view control. Next, encryption. This is a way to protect sensitive data from unauthorized access. It is important for those organizations whose database contains confidential data. Where we have confidential data, these encryption mechanisms must be used to protect your data. And last and not the least, backup and recovery must be there. So these recovery controls and the backup controls must be taken care when we are defining any database. And next point, query and data manipulation and reporting capabilities. When we are storing the why we are storing the data? Why? Because based on the data we can generate some reports with the help of that SQL query language. So in management information system, DBMS provides the basis for supporting report requirements, queries and data manipulations. It is also provides a query language capable of supporting planned and unplanned query requirements. So whatever the requirements we'll have, with the help of these queries, we can get all the reports. So that is not that much required. It will support to the specialized programming requirements and physical data organization options. So that is about the basic requirements, why we have to give security and how many ways we can give data security and integrity. And most important topic is security authorization. So there are features of authorization, why we have to give in the sense, first we have authentication, next authorization and views, third one is encryption, which is already discussed previously. Authentication mean of verifying the user's identity. This is done by using any of the following mechanism. Authentication మనం ఎలా ప్రొవైడ్ చేయొచ్చు? With the help of username and password, or with the help of ID cards, or with the help of physical representation like finger recognition, voice recognition, or what we can say, with the help of this eye retina we can verify whether the person is that person authenticated person or not. So there are multiple ways for authentications. So whatever the thing which is convenient for you, you can opt that authentication process. So among these methods, password is one of the cheaper source to provide security, but when intruder knows the password length and the characteristics available, it is possible to hack the password. So DBA must design excellent password schemes to avoid hacking. So one of the typical authorizations scheme is to create a password which is easy for the user to remember, and it is sometimes difficult for the users to intruder to guess. So in that way we have to create your passwords. So apart from this, the other schemas, usage of password parameters, question and answer scheme, usage of pre-arranged algorithms, usage of access controls. So you have observed this part in some situations. For example, if you have forgot your mail ID or password, if you click on reset your password, it will ask you all these questions and answers. That is for authentication. So to check whether you are the authenticated person or not, to change the password. So all these are the security measurements what they will take to secure your data or secure your data by hacking by others. So this is one information on authentication. So that is what he has explained. Usage of password parameter. So password parameters in the sense, whenever you are going to set a password, it will tell you like your password must contain capital letters, its password must contain small letters, special symbols and alphabets or numbers. So that is mandatory. So with the combination of all these things, you can create your strong password. So whenever you are entering a password, it will tell you the strength of a password, whether it is weak or it is okay na, or it is strong. So all these things it will tell you at the time of creating or at the time of setting your password. Already you know about questions and answer schema. So when we want to change your passwords and all, you have to select some questions and you have to give some answers. So at the time of verification or at the time of resetting your password, that database will ask you those questions and you have to give correct answer whatever you have given at the time of your mail ID creation. So this is the concept of questions and answers. Third one, uses of pre-arranged algorithms. Another method for providing authentication is by using a pre-arranged algorithm. In this schema, system provides an authentication number to the user. On receiving this number, user performs certain pre-arranged transactions and gives back the result to the system. So even you can see this number. When you want to log in into Gmail, it will prompt one number to your mobile phone. So if you have selected the same number in your mobile phone, then only it will receive the authentication and it will allow you to log in into that system. Okay, so these are the things which are already pre-arranged, some algorithms which are available to provide the authentication. Next, usage of access control mechanisms. In this scheme, authentication is provided by controlling the access made for a password. The system limits the user for fixing number of attempts, number of attempts or allots in a time period. If the user fails to enter an authenticated password within a specified time, then the system automatically log off the user. So even we can see the same thing when you have forgot your pattern. mobile lock pattern. Continuously, if you have entered wrong password for 5 times, automatically it will block that for 30 seconds. Second time for 60 seconds. Third time for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. It will increase the timing until and unless you entered a correct password. So, that is considered our usage of access control mechanism. Next, authorization and views. It is a technique that helps in identifying the resources which can be accessed by authenticated users. View is another way of ensuring data security. It puts restrictions on the users such that they are not allowed to view the entire data rather than views only the set of data which are having the authorization. So, already we have discussed about views in the last chapters when we are discussing about SQL. There we have created view. So, for that we have two options. Grant in the sense you are giving permissions. So, how to write that grant command? Grant privileges list on table to username. So, for example, grant update on table student to John. So, you are permitting John to update the database on this column, on this one. So, he can perform only update operations on that table, but he can't do any other operations. Why? Because only update permission has given to John, but he can't do any other operations. So, once the operations are done, then you are recollecting the permission with the help of this revoke command. So, revoke whatever the privileges you have given, all the privileges on the table name from the username. So, you are giving to the user, you are giving permissions to user and you are taking back those permissions from the user. Revoke update on table student from John. So, previously you have given a permission to update student city column on table student. So, student table lo unnatuvanti student city column ni update cheyadaniki you have given a permission to John. Once the operations are confirmed, once the operations are done, again you are revoke in the sense you are recollecting the permissions. So, with the help of this grant and revoke, we can give permission to the users to perform some operations onto the database. So, already we have seen about this encryption and decryption mechanisms, how to encrypt the data. This is already we have discussed in e-commerce. So, same things which are available here also. So, ciphertext, plastic substitution, how to encrypt the data. So, this is all about your database security, what you have in this 4th unit. So, today we have discussed two topics. What is database backup and what are the recovery techniques? That is one. Second one is data security and integrity. Third one, data authentication. How to authenticate the data. So, these are the authentication, authorization and encryption. So, these are the things what you have in this 4th unit. So, this is the end of your unit 4. From tomorrow we will start unit 5 and we left with only one unit, that is unit 1. Once we complete unit 5, we will have only unit 1 which is left. So, we have finished 2, 3, 4, second chapter, third chapter and fourth chapter are completed. So, we left with 5th one and first one. Okay. So, that is all for today.